What's up, guys? Cody with CommercialRoofer.com, and today I'm going to show you guys exactly how we're selling millions of dollars a year in re-roofs, new construction, and service-based projects consistently. I'll even show you guys how we're utilizing ongoing maintenance agreements to keep our clients around for life. If you're new to my world or skeptical about anything I just said, then great. I'm not trying to convince you guys of anything, especially not that this is the only way to do this. I'm sure there's multiple ways to skin this cat, and I'm just going to share what works with you guys. And then at the end of this video, I am going to give you guys a simple invitation so that if you like my strategies and you want my help and my community's help in implementing some of these strategies, tactics, things of that sort, while you grow your own commercial roofing sales, then you guys can take advantage of that. And if not, no big deal. Right? No pressure. This will just be like a super informative video for you guys to adopt the principles, the tactics, the strategies, and really my version of a commercial roofing sales program. I should probably let you guys know that what I'm getting ready to share with you, though, is 100% not for a complete newbie. This is for somebody that's already in the roofing industry, already familiar with sales, and you're just looking for the exact roadmap on how to move either into the commercial roofing sector or just how to sell more commercial roofing utilizing our methods. All right, and before we kick this can too far down the road, I should probably introduce myself to you guys. So my name's Cody Klein, and I'm the former owner of a company called Jag Roofing and Sheet Metal. And over the past 13 years, I've built that commercial roofing business before exiting in 2021 in a multi-company merger. All right, and since we exited in 2021, I've taken my exact business model and I've helped over 45, maybe 50 roofing companies at this point grow their commercial roofing businesses with service and maintenance and metal roofing divisions. And so again, over that last 12 and a half, 13 years, I feel like I've learned the most efficient ways to sell commercial roofing by focusing on a few key elements. All right. Number one, you have to have consistent lead flow. All right. Nothing else happens in the business. It's really the tip of the spear. Number two, we all pay for leads, right? We pay with them for, with our money, or we pay for them with our time and our energy. And it's going to be, no matter what, leads are one of the biggest expenses a roofing company is going to experience. So you absolutely, this is part two, you absolutely need a sales process that's either going to monetize and help you close those deals, or take the ones that you don't close and recycle them. And I'll show you guys what that looks like too. The third key element that I found is really that we have to follow a streamlined process for our inspections, our estimates, and our proposals. And so that way we can have a duplicatable process for our profitability and ensure that we're actually making the money we need to be making on each and every one of these jobs, right? And so what I've done is I've created this model, I'll show you guys here, called the Commercial Roofer Contact to Contract, right? And when we follow this roadmap, it's going to allow us to have that consistent lead flow. It's going to allow us to move prospects along quicker in the sales cycle. I hear a lot of people talk about how the commercial sales cycle can be slow. And of course, there's anomalies, right? There's insurance projects that get drug out. There's times, something gets kicked to a C-suite and they kick the can down the road for a little while, and that can extend it. But for the most part, I'm going to show you guys a few things that you can do today to really speed that sales cycle up and move those things along. And obviously, I'll show you guys how we're doing our estimating and proposals and our inspection process so that you guys can have that duplicatable process. Now, I'm assuming you guys are ready to get into all the tactics, the nitty-gritty details, but I'll first tell you that you need to understand this all starts with you, okay? And what I mean by that is that your life can either be built by default or it can be built by design. And your career or your business is the exact same way. So for me, the first 4 to 5 years of my career in the roofing industry, I had this tendency to adopt everyone else's idea of success. I had this tendency to adopt everyone else's goals, and I never asked myself these types of questions, like, what do I really want out of life? What do I want my life to look like? What schedule suits me and my family? How much money do I actually need to make to live this lifestyle that I truly want, that I intrinsically know that I want to live? And once I know that number, that number, the financial piece to what it's going to take to live that lifestyle, like, how do I work backwards from that number to understand how many leads I have to generate, how many proposals I need to put out, and ultimately how many deals I need to close in order to make that amount of money. So I deeply feel this sense that there's so many people in this industry that are truly blindly leading themselves, blindly leading their families, and not serving themselves. So that's the first thing we've got to do. All right. We've got to find our internal driver to what we're doing, or none of these tactics and strategies are ever going to matter. So I'd start with that. Okay. You've got to ask yourself those questions, and you've got to ultimately figure out that number. The next piece is we have to understand exactly what we're selling. Okay. And you guys will see a slide come up on the screen here if it's not up already. And when we look at a commercial roofing business, there's really two sectors, okay? We have the construction section and we have the service section. And under construction, we have things like restoration, which might be liquid applied coatings, or when we put a new reskin, a roof system. A re-roof is going to be those projects that require demolition or some sort of a tear off. And new construction is pretty self-explanatory. On the service side, we have maintenance, which is ongoing maintenance agreements, right? This is how we typically keep our clients for life, and we extend that lifetime value of every client. Sometimes I jokingly say, how we get more wallet share of each of our clients. And then warranty work is exactly what it sounds like, right? When we do work on buildings, we apply a warranty to the workmanship, to the manufacturer's warranty on the product. And then we also have repairs. Okay. And I won't get into the nitty gritty, the differences between time and material and scope of work, but these are ultimately what you could sell as a commercial roofing salesman. And now if you're a business owner watching this, you obviously know that you have the capabilities to pick and choose what your company does, right? Depending on your production capabilities of your labor, whether it's subcontracted or produced in-house. But as a sales rep, we're kind of at the mercy of those owners. And so it's ultimately figuring out what do we have to sell, and then figuring out what does an average ticket look like for whatever it is we can sell. All right. And so when we understand what the average ticket is that we're able to sell, we can reverse engineer our way back to figuring out what our take-home pay could be by doing an equation between the total sales that you would need times your pay plan. Okay. And so the equation is what you guys see here on the screen is your take-home pay is going to equal whatever your total sales are times your pay plan. So now that we understand exactly what we're selling and how much we need to sell of it, the next part is how do we get the leads? Okay, so for most of you guys, this is going to be the sexiest, the most attractive part of this entire video. And I'll walk you guys through the three main levers that I like to pull every time we jump in and start to build out a marketing department. For me, it's essentially looking at three things. Okay, we want to look at the strategy. We want to understand what is our objective in our marketing, like what are we marketing for? And I'll explain that here in a minute. And then how are we tracking our marketing? Okay. And for me, it's what is our strategy? Like, how are we going to contact these people, or how are we going to let them know we exist? Number two, what is our objective? And so in our marketing, like, what are we trying to get these people to do? And then the third lever that I want to pull is obviously how are we going to track the metrics to understand if this marketing channel is winning or this marketing channel is losing. So the first thing we'll do is I'll explain to you guys the four main strategies that we utilize to drive business on the commercial end. All right, so the way that we get leads is through four main mechanisms. We love to deliver lunch and learns. If you don't know what a lunch and learn is, it's basically getting in front of a group of people, influencers of decision makers or decision makers that will ultimately hear you out and hear about your services, your products, and how you can benefit them. And if I could give you guys like the big shiny star, the North Star when it comes to lunch and learns, you want to talk about obviously what you do so they can understand it, but even at a higher level than that, on how what you do can benefit them, because it's human nature for everyone to care about themselves and what's in it for them. So if you can hit on those points, you will win more often than not. The next one is canvassing. Okay. And canvassing is a term that can be, misanalyzed. So I'll just clarify for you guys. I am literally talking about getting in your truck, driving to an area and walking into buildings or offices to meet with people and understand if they have problems that you can solve. Okay. Now, when doing this, there are obviously strategies and mechanisms that you can hone in on to get better. But more than anything, it's just about the activity. It's like they always say, the hardest door to open is the door to your truck. And if you can just get out of the truck and walk in, then a lot of times you can make the magic happen. In this day and age, where we're getting most of our results is from something called digital door knocking. Now, digital door knocking, in the sense of its simplest form, is really a 4-step process. Okay, it's finding the right people on social media platforms. It's connecting with them. It's having a conversation with them, and ultimately booking an appointment or a meeting or a lunch and learn so that you can get in front of them and ultimately create a relationship to, ultimately lead to a deal. Now, we do get a little fancier with our digital door knocking, where we can start to stack what we call multi-touch strategies. So maybe we find the people on digital door knocking and we send them a connection request and a message through social media. But then we also hit them with emails. And then we also follow that up with a warm phone call, right? Because they've seen some of our stuff at that point. So it's not necessarily cold. And, or if we don't find them on social media first, right? There's multiple ways to also skin this cat. You can utilize resources such as Property Shark, Prospect Pro, Bionomy, CoStar to find certain types of buildings and who owns those buildings. And then we can reverse engineer it to find those people on social media, hit them with the DMs, send them the emails and follow up with cold calls. And when you leverage the power of multi-touch strategies like that, second to none. And then the last and final thing I'll talk about when it comes to leads is just getting involved. It comes down to rubbing shoulders, shaking hands, and kissing the babies with all of the people that you want to do business with. These might be associations like BOMA or CAM or apartment associations or real estate investor associations or REITs in your area. And so do some due diligence on your end. You can Google, you can ask ChatGPT, you can search meet.com. And there are, no matter what market you're in, there are definitely meetup groups that will benefit your business and ultimately lead you to commercial roofing deals. So if you think back to a couple minutes ago, I talked about 3 main levers that we want to pull: strategy, objective, and tracking. And so what I just showed you are strategies for making connections and providing value to people. The next thing is we have to understand that our objective is right off the rip is not to sell a commercial roofing project. Our objective is to get to the lunch and learn, or to book a meeting, or to have a phone call conversation, or to, make them an offer of, just getting your foot on the roof, essentially. So it's clear. It's great to be clear on, your products and services, but you also have to be clear on what your objective is so that you're clear in your ask when you're approaching people from these strategies. This is a huge miscalculation that people make when they start doing marketing because they're very unclear in their ask. Now, the third and most important piece to the entire marketing system as a whole is tracking the activities. And now, I've said this before, but I'll say it again here on this video because I feel it's super relevant. Most people do not track the daily actions it takes to get to their ultimate goal because they would be embarrassed by those daily actions that they take. Well, we want to know what our daily actions are so we can tell why we're winning or why we're losing. And here on the screen, I'm showing you guys our exact method for tracking the strategies of digital door knocking. And this is we get this ingrained in the detail to understand exactly why we're getting results or why we're not getting results. And ultimately what these KPIs tell us is a story. If I've sent out a bunch of messages and I'm not getting responses, then I may have the right person, but I obviously don't have the right message. I'm not saying the right thing. If I'm finding a lot of people, I'm sending a lot of connection requests and I'm getting a lot of responses, but I'm not booking leads, well, then I know, hey, the initial message that I'm sending out is probably okay, right? If people are responding to me. But something that I'm saying, I may not be clear in my objective. So I'm not being clear in my ask to these people and ultimately not getting them to the objective. So it's getting down to the nitty gritty and being super granular in our tracking on a day-by-day basis to ultimately lead us to our goals. And so that is, like I said, one of the key pillars to making your marketing successful. And so after we generate an opportunity, we have to have a structure and a process to work that prospect through to ultimately so that we can convert them into an actual deal. Okay. And I'm going to give you guys both of those today. The first thing we're going to look at is the actual structure, the structure of a sales process. And the way that I've broken it down is obviously I was trying to be clever and our logo for Commercial Roofer is a ladder. So it just so happened that there's 6 stages in our sales process and 6 letters in the word ladder. And so I broke this down in an easy way for you guys to remember it. And it's called the ladder sales system. The first thing we have to do is we have to lay the foundation. Okay. We have to lay the foundation of the relationship and we have to create rapport. All right. So that's stage 1. The second thing is we have to assess their current state. We need to understand exactly what they're experiencing now and what they've done in the past to ultimately try to fix this, or to figure out if they've done anything in the past to figure out if they've tried to fix this so that we can talk to the correct solutions. The next thing is we have to figure out, what are they looking for? What is their desired outcome? Are they looking for a quick fix? Are they looking for a long-term solution? Do they never want to have to worry about this again? Those are the things that you need to know before you ever hop on the roof. Okay, so all of these are done in some of the initial conversations. The fourth step is the most powerful step in the entire structure here. It's called the detriment of inaction. It's asking the correct questions to get them to understand what happens if they don't have you fix this roof now. And I don't mean like what happens as in like, oh, cool, you would get a few raindrops in our building. It's like, what are they going to experience from the tenants, getting leaked on? What kind of phone calls are they going to take? What kind of, emotional impact is this going to have on them or their life or their tenant's life or, the people working in the building? What is it going to do in possibly affecting some of the equipment inside the building? Whatever the situation is for that person, it's really pushing on the pain. And obviously we show people how to do that. The fifth and sixth steps in the structure of the sales process is really just delivering and exhibiting our proposal and then collecting revenue, right? Everyone's favorite part. And within every good structure, there's an actual process to follow. Okay. So we call this the monetization pathways and recycling leads, because we are going to make the most out of every opportunity, because I know you guys are going to bust your ass or spend a lot of money to generate these opportunities, and we do not want them to go to waste. So if we look at the top of this slide, you'll understand that a lead is going to be generated. You're going to qualify that opportunity to make sure that it fits into that puzzle piece, or that the puzzle piece fits into your puzzle for the services that you guys offer. You'll go through the means of discovery, which is really the first 3 stages of the structure I shared with you guys. And then we're on site for our inspection. Okay. And most of the time, what I tell sales reps is we want to operate on a swivel. Okay. We want to perform such a detailed inspection that we can look at the low-hanging fruit first. And I understand not everyone pushes insurance claims, but in the case that you do live in an area that has insurance claims, we want to look for insurance claimable damage first. Okay. The easiest way to get an organization or a C-suite or a building owner to buy a roof is to tell them that it's going to be paid for by somebody else, the insurance company. And so we'll show you guys how to inspect for all the claimable damages and the tricks and trades of that. The next thing we look at is, does this roof need to be replaced? And typically we'll apply a grade to it that helps us make that decision. We'll apply, just like when you were in grade school, an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. We'll apply one of those grades to the roof and ultimately make our decision on whether or not the roof is in decent enough shape to just have some repairs and take on some ongoing maintenance, or if it needs to be replaced. Okay. Now, the third monetization pathway is going to be if the roof does not have any claimable damage, if it doesn't need to be replaced, and we're just looking at service work to see if there's any repairs on the roof. That's kind of the third and final thing that we look for. In the situation that there's no claimable insurance damage, there's no restoration or re-roof that needs done, and there's no service work that needs done, no big deal. We've got something in our back pocket for that too. We can try to sell that building owner or that organization an ongoing maintenance package. And you might say something like this, right? There's multiple stories that we teach to tell, but I'll share with this one with you guys. If you were to go down and buy a truck at the dealership right now, it's a very rare occasion that you're going to drive that thing for more than a few months and not do some form of maintenance to it, right? Not changing out the wiper blades or changing the oil, rotating the tires, things of that nature. And your roof's the exact same way. So what we're offering to you is blah, 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 right? Whatever's included in your ongoing maintenance agreement. But we can't even bat 1,000 at that. So sometimes when they don't have the budget or they can't swing it, or for whatever reason they're telling you no, purchasing your ongoing maintenance agreement, then we will slide them into an inspection program. Because again, ultimately, all we want to do is, if we can't monetize it, we want to recycle it. And we will basically sell them into our free inspection program. I said sell them. Yeah, we'll put them into our free inspection program, and we will come back every 6 months, inspect the roof again, essentially circle our way back around to this on-site inspection and go through the process all over again. And we follow this nurturing sequence all the way through monetization. But here's the best part. Even if we do go through one of the green pathways, right, and we monetize one of these opportunities, we are still going to end up in the exact same spot, because after we show up down here for our project closeout and we sign the ongoing maintenance agreement that is actually required by the majority of roofing manufacturers, we are then coming back to do our on-site inspection depending on your market, every 4 months, every 6 months, every 12 months. And we are keeping that is now a customer for life, right? So not only do we have recurring revenue, but we've also taken this roof off the streets for our competitors. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. All right, up until this point, we've really knocked out 3 of the 5 stages. We've talked about the plan, how to create a vivid vision for yourself and, a life by design rather than by default. Understanding your services and what you're even selling or what you're able to sell to the market, and then a strategy to do that. We talked about how to get leads and the 3 main levers that we pull in order to get leads, really figuring out our strategy, our objective, and tracking all of our metrics along the way. I talked through our sales process and our sales structure. And now I'm going to talk to you guys about the biggest hurdle that I see when it comes to sales reps or even business owners trying to get into the commercial market. I want you guys to think about it this way, though. If you were to take your truck to a mechanic and he needed to replace the alternator, or he thought the alternator was bad, he would have an exact process that he would follow for diagnosing the issue. He would have a manual to go off of to figure out exactly what parts, how much labor, and the tools needed to actually replace that alternator. And he would be able to press a few buttons to create that estimate for you and have all of that done within, a short amount of time. Now, it blows my mind how fractured this process typically is for most roofing companies. So I've done my best along with my business partners to create an actual process that allows you guys to operate like a mechanic shop, like a well-ran, a well-oiled machine type of mechanic shop, okay? And I'm gonna walk you guys through this right now. And I definitely think it's one thing for me to tell you about people getting these results, but I'd like for you guys to hear from some of our clients so that you can understand the magnitude of what stacking these strategies and these tactics together can actually do for your business. So check this out for a minute and then we'll get back to it.
We had it's an insurance job actually that came through from our lead generation. I think 917 is what the payout was. It's gonna be like 1.2 after supplements. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's our sales guy is actually up there today collecting the deposit.
One thing we got Tanner here at Lennox, and I think Pablo's on the call too. Through digital door knocking, we actually have a lunch and learn set up with a new property management company we've never dealt with for this Friday. So awesome. I'm excited about that.
So we actually got a lead this past week from DDK, also digital door knocking. It was a guy that just wanted to connect. He managed 2 buildings, but they set up a meeting just to go out and shake his hand, drop off some information. It wasn't even like an lunch and learn or anything, but they got out there and he asked them to get on the roof because the day after he spoke with Keith, they started getting some leaks. And so they got on the roof and it was like, I don't know, it's like 50 or 60,000 square foot of a nice EPDM roof. So that was just a win.
Okay, if we want to act like a high-level mechanic shop, we must have the tools that a high-level mechanic shop would have, all right? And it starts with having an inspection checklist. There's a lot of information here. I think there's 13 or 14 pages, but it's just things of like notable reminders of things that the sales rep or you would need to remember while you're on site, all of the tools, all of the things that you need to take photos of, specifics around insurance claims, and then we get to the roof survey. Okay, we want them to give us all of the details, or we want to notate all of the details while we're on site so that if we get back to the office and it's time to put a proposal together or put an estimate together, that we're not caught, empty-handed without some form of details. And now for those of you guys that are a little more tech savvy, we also would provide something like this, okay? And so this would be filled out on an iPad on site, and we would import the, if you're going out to inspect the roof today, you would import the aerial image. And then while you're on site, you would just notate, okay, I found, 3 number 1s. I found 4 number 6s. I found, 5 number 13s. And all of these numbers here are deficiencies, right? These are just general deficiencies that you might find on a roof system. And of course, there's a lot of other things within a document like this. There's specifics for a re-roof, specifics for sheet metal roofs and sheet metal components, and then also a reminder on how we grade the roofs. All right, so at this point, I've showed you when it comes down to building a streamlined and efficient system for the inspections, estimating, and proposals, we've looked at the inspection checklist. We've looked at what does it look like to document on site. And now I'm going to show you how we would actually build the estimates, okay? And so if you're trying to put together some pricing for an ongoing maintenance agreement, there's really 5 key components that we look at, okay? In the top left-hand corner, you'll notice that we have what is the category of the roof. Is it an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F? It changes the pricing drastically. The square footage of the building, how many audits are we how many times are we visiting that roof per year? And this spreadsheet for us specifically is set up for 1. So if we were going to do, visit it every 6 months, That would be one additional audit per year. We would put in how many years is this agreement in place for. I'm a big fan of just doing them 12 months at a time. I have guys that do them 3-5 years at a time, but you could do them for whatever suits you guys. And then how many levels are to the roof, right? Because if you're selling an ongoing maintenance agreement and it's for a single level, single level warehouse versus a 13 level office building, well, your guys are going to spend a lot more time on site. So the pricing would be obviously drastically different for those two types of buildings. So having a tool like this or building out a tool like this would be monumental to the efficiency of pricing out your maintenance calculations and making sure you guys are actually going to be profitable there. And just to be clear, the profit margins, ideally should be 55 to 75% gross margins on your maintenance agreements from my experience. And then the last piece of the puzzle that I'm going to show you guys is having a document like this to where you have all of your roof systems that you guys offer. So this goes back to knowing what services you offer, knowing what products you guys offer, and having them all broken down on the material needed, the labor line items for each system, and then other expenses, which could be just general expenses for equipment or dumpster rental, things like that for on-site. And just having them in an easy to use calculator, I would actually push most guys or sales reps, business owners, managers to put these templates into a CRM so that everything's all in one place. But it's also nice not to have the CRM own all of your data and to have this stowed away somewhere else in case you guys ever leave or go somewhere else. So that's the tactics, the strategies, and the pathways in which we take commercial roofing prospects from cold to sold. I show you guys how we generate the leads. I showed you how we inspect the roofs. I showed you our thoughts and ideas around what it looks like to have a streamlined and efficient system for estimating those deals, and really how we close the deals, right? And how we move people quickly through our sales process. I hope you took something away from it. I hope you can apply it to your world and hope you guys can utilize some of those things to make you a little more money. If you are interested in taking a look in what it looks like to work with us, in taking these tools, documents, resources, calculators that we've already taken hundreds of hours to build out, and plug and playing those into your business or your life as a commercial sales rep, then just find me on Facebook, send me a DM, say mastermind, and I'll share with you guys what it looks like. I hope you guys enjoy your day. Talk to you soon.